Welcome to the Trusted by Your Teenager podcast. I've been doing the podcast on Apple and all of those other places, and I decided why not bring it to YouTube? So the way I do this is I share little stories, you can submit questions, and it all comes back to how do I become trusted by my teenager? And my goal is to answer and have these episodes be 10 minutes long. So trusted in 10. And what does trusted mean? Some people hear that and they're not really sure. Trusted means to become a safe place for your teenager where they feel free to talk to you about anything, to actually ask your advice because they know that you're not going to freak out. And the ultimate goal of parenting is to become trusted. So I had somebody submit a question and they said, what do I do if I don't like my teenager's friends? Well, I've got lots to say about that. I've actually got a private community called Team Trusted, but you can only enter the community after you take the Trusted Challenge, which I do the challenge once a month. I've got links below on how to do that. And I have a whole module inside of Team Trusted on friends, how to help your teenager with friends. But I'm just going to give you a sneak peek right now because this is Trusted in 10, and I'm not giving too many details, but what I really want you to think about is if you don't like your teenager's friends, they're going to feel very defensive. They're not going to want to bring their friends around. They're going to go do things in other places, and you don't have as much of an opportunity to participate. And so, yes, I get it. There are some friends that might not be the best influences, but ultimately you want them to say, you don't want them to say, you just hate my friends, because teens say things like that often. And you want to be able to get to know their friends, because when you get to know them, you have power and influence over the friend. If your friend feels like they like you, then they're going to support your teenager and the things that they're doing. And if your teenager feels that you like their friend, they're not going to be as defensive when you say, hey, I'd like to think about what are some things, like what are the things that you notice in your friend? So first of all, when you are trusted by your teenager, they are more likely to listen to you. When you say, hey, I'd like to talk to you about this friend. Tell me what it is. Here's some questions. Tell me what it is that you like about them. How do you feel like they lift you up? So you're asking these curious questions. You're getting curious, not furious. You're asking these questions to help them to think, to help them brainstorm, because ultimately you don't want to be the one to say you shouldn't be hanging out with this friend. They're not a good influence. Do you see what they're doing? Because they're going to get very defensive, and it's going to draw them more to their friend and further away from you. So when you say things like curious questions, help me understand, tell me what you like to do, and then it helps them to think and say, like, if you've noticed something, like let's say that you noticed their friend, I don't know, maybe you saw them smoking, or you heard a friend say, oh, I heard that kid's bad news, or they're not a great influence, they're smoking or vaping or whatever it is. And so you can say something along the lines of, instead of saying, hey, I heard that they were vaping in the bathroom, is that something that you knew about, or is that something that you participated in? Instead of saying something like that, say, I'm just curious to hear if you feel like they're, do they make good choices? Do they feel like, do they make you feel like you want to be a better person? Because sometimes kids who struggle with friends, they're going to take whatever they can get. And sometimes that's someone who might not be the best influence. And so when you are friends with their friends, when you are positive, when they're not pushing you away, then they're more likely to talk to you, to listen to you, to get counsel. When you're trusted, which I talk a lot about how to become trusted, and a lot of micro blind spots that parents often have that break trust. When you learn those trusted skills and principles, they're a lot more likely to listen to you when you approach with trusted ways, such as curious questions and not furious. Another really important thing to remember for teenagers with friends is, aside from the whole friend conversation, you want to look for ways to help your teenager build confidence. Confidence is all encompassing, and it can be challenging because I think a lot of parents think you build confidence by telling your teen, hey, you're awesome, or you're doing such a great job. And while those are good things, confidence is intrinsic and it has to come from within. And some things parents do and say unintentionally break confidence. And so I've shared, I actually have some confidence chat cards that have 50 different scenarios about how to help your kid build confidence in random ways. But some of the small ways that I really like are to help them feel good about themselves, whether it's through a hobby, maybe it's guitar or something that they can feel individually confident about. Another thing that I really love to share is either have opportunities to babysit younger children or opportunities to serve the older generation. When they can do good service, do things in the community, it helps them feel good in their heart and it builds their confidence so that when they're in a situation with their friend, maybe it's a friend that you don't like, and you're not feeling like they're a good influence, they have the confidence within themselves to say, you know what? I don't know that they really are the best influence on me. However, it's the only friend I have. And then when you're trusted, you can have these open conversations and say, I get that. Validating. I get that. That's got to be hard to feel like you don't have that many friends. And when you validate and all of these things come together, see, there's all these little micro pieces of the puzzle. When they all come together, your teenager can have that confidence to maybe say, maybe I should pull away from that friend. And maybe they're hanging out with the family a little bit more because they don't have a lot of friends. And then you can brainstorm ways to make friends. And, it goes into all these other things. So ultimately, when you're trusted by your teenager, you can talk to them about friends. But I do recommend getting to know the friend, even if you don't like them, because you have that much more of an in with the friend, with your child, if they don't think you hate them. Hopefully that was helpful. I will leave links below to the Trusted Challenge as well as to the confidence building cards. And always, I love it when you share the podcast, when you share on YouTube about the things that I'm sharing, because my goal and hope is to help more parents become trusted by their teenager.